No, never. And always, both at the same time. We appreciate you guys joining us back for our bi-weekly. Every 2 weeks on Friday we do free seminars right here at Lake Fork Marina. Tonight we're going to talk to you guys about seasonal patterns, but really specific seasonal patterns in relation to the spotting cycle and what's going on with this cold front. It's really, really cold. It's going to be 20 whatever tomorrow morning. We're going to talk to you guys about how that's going to affect the fish over the next week. And then we've got a full moon towards the end of the week. So we're going to talk to you guys about how that's going to affect the fish and just what you guys can expect to see. And basically try to help y'all be able to catch fish over the next 2 weeks on Lake Fork and all the lakes in this area, because they're all going to kind of do the same thing. They're all going to have the same weather. They're all going to have the same moon cycle. And these bass are fixing to all pretty much behave the same way on all these lakes in our region right here over the next couple weeks. So we're going to try to really get you guys off on the right foot and be able to catch as many fish as you can over the next couple weeks, right? That's what we do.
That's right.
Help each other catch more and bigger fish, love a fellow man. Although some of y'all question how much I love you. You're not Vic Pearson. But no, we're going to have a good time. It's an open forum deal. There's a lot of new faces in the crowd tonight. Big crowd tonight. We got to work on getting some more chairs. We're running out of chairs. I feel sorry about that back there, everybody. If you're on the staircase where I can't see, I apologize. We will work on getting some more chairs here 2 weeks from now, because evidently we're going to need it this spring. I don't want to be outside right now. It's like sleeting out there, bro. Like, listen, unless there's a chance of me catching a 10-pounder, I'm not outside. There's only one reason to be outside in this kind of weather. That's if you're making a cast on that old good spot, you know. That's it.
And I didn't even do that today. I wasn't going to brave it today.
No, it's tough. It's windy, real windy too. Those kind of days when it gets that cold and it's that windy can get a little dangerous, honestly. I mean, it can be dangerous on the water. And these are the kind of days it can get, you know, you're taking a risk a little bit. Yeah. So, by the way, for those that don't know, behind the camera or anybody in person, this is my man Cody Mays. He's joining me. He's a Lake Fork guide. Grew up around here. Grandfather guided on the lake. Is that right? Grandfather guided on the lake. Been around the lake his whole life. Just started guiding last year, I think.
Yeah, last April.
So he's been doing a real good job. He's been as successful as anybody I've ever seen in the very beginnings of, you know, from when he started day one. He took off real quick and has done a really good job. So if you guys want guide trips, anybody behind the camera or in the crowd wants guide trips, you can always find information on guide trips at yourlakeforkguide.com. You can reach us there, and we'd be happy to get you out on the water if you want to go, whether it's with one of us or one of the many other awesome guys. I know David Ozio works with us. He was here a minute ago. Vic works with us. He's here, right here to my right. We got a ton of guys we work with that are really, really good. All different varieties of techniques and specialties, and we can get you what you need. Just let us know what you're looking for. All right. Open forum. If y'all got questions anytime, just yell it out, right? However you want to do it. Doesn't matter. This is a theoretically, like by the book or whatever, by like the normal standards that everybody assumes. You know, we all have those things that everybody assumes in bass fishing. Like in the fall, they're going to pull into the creeks and chase shad. You know, in the wintertime, they're going to go deep, suspend. Summertime, they're going to get on offshore strokes. Like, we all have those things, right? Well, this deal right here, what's happened is we had a big warming trend last week. Pretty good warming, like pretty darn big warming trend last week, going into the weekend and through the weekend. And Monday, we got hit with a cold front. Well, hell, last weekend and Monday and Tuesday, we were sight fishing in my boat. Like, I mean, we were catching them a little bit, winding around and just fishing up shallow. But, I mean, we were pretty much looking at them, you know, those few days. And there was some good fish on beds, lots of them in the right areas. But this deal, when you get that warm trend and you get those first few spawners, and it wasn't like, I wouldn't call it a major wave, what I saw. It was like in some spots, in the right spots of the lake, there'd be a group, like, and when you'd find them, there'd be a group of them in there, right? Mm-hmm. But then you go down to most of the lake, didn't have any spawners in it whatsoever. So it was just the first little few that were going in, which is always what happens, that first run. But once you get warm enough to start seeing some of that in some of the areas, so you've had enough warming trends, when you get hit with a really hard cold front, and we got hit with one Monday, and then we got hit with another one today that was even harder. It's going to be 26 in the morning, I think it is. So, man, that is by the book, like we're talking about. Those are some of the toughest days you're going to face all year. You got fish that are pulling up shallow, getting warm, thinking about spawning, starting to spawn, getting active, getting aggressive, and all of a sudden they get sucker punched with that water temperature dropping big time, and they just, you know, traditionally the traditional thought is they just shut down on you. And that's pretty much true. And we did a live stream, I think Tuesday night, and we did one today during the day. and kind of discuss the types of baits to use on today's. And on Tuesday, talked about kind of how to get those bites. Now, keep in mind when I'm saying get those bites, well, like you're not going to go out there and just catch a bunch of fish. Like you got to grind to catch them. But if you stay in the right little areas and you fish really hard with the right techniques, typically you're going to get enough bites to put a little bag together. And the bag you're going to put together is probably going to be a real good one this time of year, because those big fish are up mixed in there with them, and you're going to get some really big bites right now this time of year. I mean, March is when most people catch their biggest bass. Everybody know that? Listen, I know Josh Jones has skewed perception a little bit. Kudos to him. That man's doing something nobody's ever done. You know, we can't all, when I say on a video call, we can't all have beautiful herring catch 13s every week, right? So for the rest of us mortals in the bass fishing world, March is where the most big bass, giant bass get caught. It's the month that happens.
I think every day this week I've seen on Facebook somebody catching 30, 40-pound bags every single day.
Yeah.
Several different people.
Well, and that's the deal, guys. It only takes 5 bites to get a 30-pound bag or whatever. You know, that's the thing about bass fishing, the way we measure it. If you're a traditionalist and you measure it by 5 fish, which I think most of us still kind of, in our minds, we've been brought up in that culture, we still kind of measure it as best 5, not total weight for the most part when we think back on our day. 5 bites ain't much. You go out and fish for 8 or 9 hours, dude, that's like a bite every hour and a half. Like 1 bite every hour and a half. And if you fish clean and catch those 5, you can get you a big bag quick this time of year because of the size fish you can catch.
Yeah, and that's, the last week or so, that's how it's kind of been. It's been hit or miss. Some days you're catching numbers, the next day you're catching quality. And, it's either all there or slow.
So something really exciting, as we're going through this cold right now, something extremely exciting is about to happen at the end of this week. Everybody know that? Like, every year this happens, and it's all lining up perfectly for every lake in this region right now. It's lining up absolutely perfect for there to be an explosion of bass fish catches come next weekend and the beginning of the following week. Okay? Stay tuned. Stay with us. We're going to get to that. But before we do, we got a whole week of fishing to get through, right?
That's right.
We got this weekend and all the next week to get through. So let's talk about that for a second and how we're going to catch those. Let's give you where you're going to catch them and then how you're going to catch them. So where you're going to catch these fish, for me, now you can go, the fish that aren't going to spawn until late April, mid-April, or even probably maybe not. Some of the early April fish are moving by now, but a lot of fish are still going to be on the main lake. What we saw some of the Major League Fishing Bass Pro Tour guys doing like a couple weeks ago, you can go out there and throw a jerkbait in main lake timber, throw an Alabama rig. They couldn't, but you could throw an Alabama rig around main lake timber, and if you're fairly proficient with your live sonars, then yeah, that's going to be the way to do that. But you can also just go around to some main lake and secondary points with some good timber on them and just fire jerkbait around. Like, that's always been a way to catch Lake Fork bass this time of year. That exists, but it's a lot more like you can go to a point and it has nothing on it and you can waste your time. I like to pursue the fish that have already pulled in this time of year because I know where they are, 100%. When it gets cold after they've pulled in, I know where they're at. They're towards the back of that creek, wherever the first drop-off is, the first drain, the first significant ditch, drain, creek channel, whatever it may be. Guaranteed that's where they're at right now, today and tomorrow and the next day. What do you think?
No, I agree 100%. You're going to have some that are going to stay around the creek and in the stumps like what they were doing in the MLF.
Yeah.
There are going to be some there. And that's what we've been doing is following the creek channel in and still fishing that pattern after these cold fronts. And then working our way back to that back in the pocket.
So you work from out to in. See, that's so we all do things differently in this sport. That's one of the beautiful things about it. No one pattern is ever the right pattern. You see it in every pro tournament. There are different patterns working, right? Like look at the Bassmaster Classic last week. You had a dude cranking a crawfish crankbait on the main lake in 6 foot of water. Then you had guys fishing live scope offshore. Then you had guys flipping boat docks in 2 foot of water. Like it's never one thing, right? Mm-hmm. So that's interesting. You say you work from out there. One thing that I like to do this time of year specifically, when we get these cold deals, knock them back a little bit, suck them back to the middle a little bit, right? In these pockets and creeks. So I like to go as far back as I can go in the dirt, find the drain as far back as I can find it, and work out. For me, I feel good about that because I don't know how far back they might be. But if I start as far back as I can go, I'm going to run into them on my way out. And then once I get to where that drain is about 8 foot deep, or that creek channel is about 8 or 9 foot deep, bail, go to the next one. But one thing about fishing when it's tough, like when the bite's tough, when the fish don't want to bite, it becomes of extreme paramount importance for you to keep your bait where the fish are as much as you can. And that's why I like these fish instead of the fish that are still more main lake oriented, more mouth of the creek oriented. I don't like those as much because I'm not 100% sure exactly what I got to find those fish. It's hard to find fish when you got to slow down to catch them, or harder. I'm going to the back of the creek and working my way up because I know there's fish somewhere in that ditch, somewhere in that channel, somewhere in that drain. There's fish there 100%. So now I've got that figured out. I know where to fish. I know there's bass there. How do we get them to bite? Two ways. When the weather gets extreme, you got to go extreme. You either go extremely finesse and extremely slow, or you go extremely reactive and aggressive. Which way y'all think I prefer? Yeah, I like to bang things off. And right now with Lake Fork, it's timber. But if we had grass and other lakes that I fish in the area, we're throwing a chatterbait and trap and ripping it out of the grass, around those drains, right? That's what I like to do. You guys have seen me do that out here. In years past, even in January and February, see me throwing those fast-moving, aggressive baits in the grass in the wintertime because it gets that pause and jump out of that grass and gets that reaction bite. Well, now we don't have that option on Lake Fork, so we're fishing timber and laydowns. Cranking, man. I know I've been beating it over the head here lately, but shallow cranking. Getting anything from a moving 80X that dives 2 foot to a flat-sided square bill that'll dive 6 foot, and kind of sticking with those baits in that window and just having different crankbaits. And I'm either throwing a shad, like a white colored shad pattern, or I'm throwing crawl colors. And sometimes I'll mix in some yellow and chartreuse on my crawl colors, right? Just if the water's real dirty, I'll mix in that yellow and chartreuse on my crawl color. That tiger truce color. Mm-hmm. They bite that sucker out here this time of year. That tiger truce color's good out here. But I'm getting those crankbaits in the channel and around. I basically put my boat in the channel or the ditch or the drain, and I just fan cast. As I work down that creek, I just pop, pop, pop. And I'm just trying to hit every hard piece of cover and get as many deflections as I can, bringing that bait off that flat into that channel over and over and over again. It's very methodical. The boat's not moving very fast, making repetitive casts at times, beating the edges of that creek channel and just outside of it, beating it to death. And just getting as many deflections as I can, because that's when your bite's going to come 9 times out of 10 this time of year when it gets tough. If you want to catch them on a winding bait and aggressive bait, your bite right now, most of the time, is going to come when that thing contacts something hard and bounces. When you get that deflection on those crankbaits.
It's hard not to talk about Justin Jones because of what he's doing. And we're not here to talk about Justin Jones.
Josh Jones?
Josh Jones, I'm sorry. I got a buddy named Justin Jones.
Listen, I got 4. I don't need any more Justin Joneses in my life. I can't keep up with what I got.
Right. But I read something he said yesterday, and this is going to go in with your reaction by it. And I thought it was very interesting. He was talking about how he is catching these bigger fish. He said he's going to write a book about it, but how he's catching these bigger
Bro,
fish.
I don't even know how to read, and I'm going to buy that book.
I know. Yeah.
Look at the pictures.
But he said these fish.
Yeah, we didn't include pictures. That's a fisherman's book. I gotta text Josh. Hey, dog, we gonna need some pictures with that one.
Pop-up pictures.
Yeah.
Book.
Yes.
But he said, not only their metabolism slow in the wintertime, but so is their mindset and their thinking. And it was very interesting what he said. He said when he's bringing it by them, before they even know they're caught, that they're already lunging at that bait, and they can't stop themselves because
can't stop the reaction.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he said that's how he is focusing in on these bigger fish, and I found that very
That is very interesting. I saw that too, and it makes total sense to the bite that you get, the cranking bite that you get. It's the same deal. The crankbait goes pow, and then it's like within that next handle turn. So the bait starts moving again, and then it just stops. And it's like half the time you're like, oh, I'm hung up. Wait a minute, it's moving. That all happens in the blink of an eye, right? But that's the reaction you get is like you're winding, boom, and it kind of scares you a little bit. Then you go back to winding, and then that next crank, you go like this, and you're like, oh, I'm hung up. Oh, no, I'm not hung up. Like, that's basically how every one of those bites is. Yep. And so that makes sense because as that bait bounces off, those fish are starting to react, and they can't stop themselves because everything's moving slow.
Yep. So as a guide, we have the luxury of having other people in our boats. So you can put a different bait in each.
Experiment a little bit with baits and take yes.
And so whenever I'm starting out going in, and y'all may think I'm crazy, but, everybody's throwing a jerkbait right now, and, just the slight difference of anything is going to get a bite. And so these fish, to me, are already starting to kind of get used to the jerkbait, which you can still catch them on jerkbait because my clients are. But going in and I'm throwing a wacky worm. Z-Dub would love me right now. But I'm throwing a wacky worm with an 1/8 ounce weight next to these stumps, and that's going to be my finesse. Because y'all know I like drop shot, but I broke off a lot this year already with the drop shot in these stumps and these timbers. So with that wacky worm, I'm throwing a 17-pound fluorocarbon with an 1/8 ounce nail weight. Throwing it past and just letting it slowly sink, and it's kind of the same thing because it's just all of a sudden it's in the view and it's just reaction bite.
That's the other end of the spectrum. Like we said, you got to go extreme. You know, extremely finesse and slow down, or you got to go extremely power fishing and reactive. And one other bait before we move on to the finesse: thumper spinner baits. Spinner baits with a big single Colorado blade that will vibrate your hand off. That will also, on Lake Fork specifically, and a lot of lakes across the south, but specifically at Lake Fork, forever and ever, amen, since the beginning of time, that's been a deal on these cold days this time of year. It vibrates so much, it causes them to react. And you can get away with bumping a spinnerbait on stumps. So, chatterbait's normally like my favorite deal. Everybody watches the channel a lot knows that. This year, I'm laying the chatterbait down on Lake Fork and picking the big bladed spinnerbait up more than I usually do because of the lake conditions. And that's something you can take forward anywhere you fish, any time of year, any pattern. This game is about two things, in my opinion. Like, we overcomplicate a lot of this stuff. And when you talk to pros and you fish with some of the pros at the top level, you'll find out that this is so true with those guys. They're not really particularly worried about, at times they are, but for the most part, they're not worried about real particular stuff about a bait. They're not worried about having the exact right color on a plastic. They're not worried about having, real precision stuff on baits. It's more about locating fish, figuring out where they're at, and then what bait can I fish through here efficiently, not get hung up. Get the bait in and out of the boat as fast as possible. Get the bait to the fish and catch them as fast as possible. And so when the lake changes conditions, or when you go anywhere, any time of year, you locate the fish. Once you feel like you've located some fish, okay, what baits can I fish through here as fast and get bit, and as fast through this cover and efficiently through this cover? So if it's grass, then we're going with weedless baits, weedless swim baits, chatterbaits, traps, things we can fish in grass. If it's wood, we got to go to crank baits and flipping baits and spinner baits, things that you can fish around the wood without causing you to stop and waste time getting hung up and things like that. That is as big of a deal as anything. They might be on a jig bite offshore, or they might be on a deep crankbait bite offshore. But if I'm going to fish a gnarly brush pile, I'm going to pick that big worm up just because I can get in and out of there, right? That's what I'm talking about. Like, it's just about locating fish and then being able to fish efficiently. Now, the finesse version of this, for me, Cody's talking about throwing a wacky worm. And a wacky worm obviously can be very good. I have watched Zach Watts catch double-digit fish multiple times in my boat this time of year on a wacky worm. For me personally, I prefer to go with a weightless Texas rig Senko style bait. I throw the clock from 6 Inch Fishing a lot, but just a 5-inch stick bait, weightless Texas rig on a 3-aught or 4-aught EWG hook. Mm-hmm. That is another one like the spinner bait that since the beginning, in fact, that technique was invented and came about here at Lake Fork. The Senko did. And that is a technique that since the beginning of time, when you get cold in the spring, that Senko will save your day. So especially if you're winding around and you get a couple reaction bites, you might stop, pick that Senko up, pick that wacky worm up, and just bleed it through there as slow as you can.
Yeah, no, that weightless Senko is the thing.
Just anything you can slow down with,
That's
I
it.
think. What color have you been throwing on your wacky worm?
All right.
Because I know you do some weird stuff. I see you grin. You do some off-the-wall stuff at times.
I do some off-the-wall stuff. So this whole week I've been throwing methylate.
Well, that's not off the wall. That's right. No, that's normal. That's normal.
But I haven't seen nobody else doing that. But my favorite color...
It's forgotten, right? The methylate deal, I mean, everybody kind of remembered it when NDJ came out here and did so good on it, the Bass Pro Tour in 2020. But for the most part, that methylate worm gets kind of forgotten about. It's an old school thing.
It is, and 6 Sense actually has the clout in the methylate now, if y'all didn't know that. So
sure does.
But my favorite clout for the weightless Texas rig, I can't remember what 6 Sense calls the color, but it's baby bass and pearl.
Well, that's electric shiner.
Yeah. Is that what? Okay, electric shiner.
You throwing that in dirty water though?
All the time. Because whenever you pop it.
Well, that don't make any sense.
Oh no, how? When you pop it, that thing twists, and when it twists, it flashes that white.
Flashes.
Oh man.
I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that. So two-tone colors are a big deal, guys. You know what I mean by two-tone? Like that lava truce color I like. It's chartreuse on the bottom half and neon orange on the top half with a little crawl pattern on it. But a chartreuse black back. Hey, a crankbait color that's been working out here really well lately is a chartreuse black back. Chartreuse black back. Citrus shad has like chartreuse and blue hard colors on top and white on the bottom. Those crankbaits that are divided down the middle. As crankbaits vibrate through the water like this, right? If it's got a contrasting color down the middle, split top to bottom, when it does this, it's like a flashlight, dude. Like it just pulses at it, flashes at them. Same thing with that laminate color on that stick bait you talking about. It's got a white belly and that green top.
Yep.
So when you twitch it, it flashes. It's like a pulsing flash of color. It's just another added reaction quality to the bait.
Yep.
I love two-tone colors on crankbaits. Deep crankbaits, shad, it doesn't matter. You know, later in the year I'll use more of that. Like my favorite deep crankbait color is citrus shad. Because when it's doing this, it's flashing that contrast at them. That's a big deal, I think.
Something else I picked up on wacky worming, and I actually picked this up from Mr. Vic Pearsall here, is putting little rattling glass beads in the other end. I mean, that just adds something else to it whenever you're popping it.
There you go.
And
A little top secret guide tip.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
And then we talked about it a little bit earlier in the year, but a Finesse Carolina rig. You know, these are all different techniques. That Cinco deal, a wacky worm deal, Finesse Carolina rig, guys. That's basically you're gonna get the same fish to bite. That's all three of those things are probably, maybe there's one fish that'll bite the wacky worm and won't bite the Cinco, or vice versa. For the most part, those three techniques are going to get the same bites, and just whatever you're comfortable with, whatever you feel good, whatever you feel efficient with in the area you're fishing, like we talked about. That's the deal. So that's kind of the deal right now. I mean, those are the techniques you need on your boat over the next week. The area you need to be in is back a creek, find the drains, ditches, and creeks. Get to that first significant drop-off and work your way back out to where you get to those mid-depth areas, and then stop and go to the next one. And just know that you're in the right areas when you get in those areas, and take your time. You got to fish slow right now when you have these conditions.
I agree.
Anything else we're missing on that?
No, that's pretty much been my pattern.
Thank God. Let's talk about what's about to be real fun. Let's talk about what's about to be real fun, because we've got a full moon coming on the 18th or 19th. Do you know what day it is?
I believe it's
18th.
The 18th, yeah.
I knew one of y'all would know. Thank you. The 18th. So that's next Friday. That's a week from today. We got some decently, not huge, not real warm night temps or anything. But remember, we've already gotten warm enough for some fish to spawn. Daylight periods are growing every day, as far as the length of sunlight that they're getting on the water. So that water is going to continue to warm back up some. We should get back up to close enough to spawning range by the time this full moon hits. Lord willing, creek don't rise, right? Like, if we don't just get hit with another 20-something degree couple of nights, we're going to get those temperatures right at the bottom parameters of spawning temperatures, and then we're going to put a full moon on it. What?
It's upper 70s the next 2 weeks and lows in the 50s.
See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's about to go down. Like, the vast majority of this lake, come next weekend, full moon Friday, Saturday, Sunday, males galore. Big males, little males, in between males. Come Monday, a week from Monday, y'all mark my words, Monday and Tuesday, y'all watch the Facebook page. You'll see some heads. We will have some big females caught off of beds Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday next week. You get to 3-4 days after that full moon, that's usually when they tend to pair up the very best. I have customers that ask me, when's the best time to go sight fishing? I say, 3 days after the full moon that's March 20th or later. A full moon that falls on March 20th or later, 3 days after that full moon, that's the best sight fishing day of the year, every year. It is as close to a guarantee as I know in this sport, in this lake. That's when you're going to catch your biggest females. 3 days after that full moon, that's when the females get locked in pairs.
It's going to make it interesting for mega bass again this year.
Yeah, I think they're going to be 1 day too early.
Think?
Literally, for the real big ones,
No.
they're going to be 1 day. I mean, there's going to be some. Listen, that's not a hard rule. There's going to be some that show up Saturday and Sunday. And there's going to be some that are up there around those areas that are going to get caught by guys throwing a swim bait or a Cinco or whatever, But boy, if they were to have that deal on Monday or Tuesday, like, bro.
So you don't think Tanner Spurgeon's 15 is going to get beat?
No. Dude, that's so hard to do. Like, y'all, I mean, we are getting a skewed perception on big bass because of what's happening across the state right now. But like to catch 115 is just
I know it.
insane.
I'd love to get one in the boat.
I mean, all the guys that bass fish for all the years of fishing in the state of Texas, there hasn't been 100 over 15 documented. I don't think. Hadn't been 100. It's been 50, I know. I know the top 50 is over 15 pounds. Maybe over 16. I think it's just over 50, over 15. I think there's still some 15s in the top 50, but I mean, that's so for Tanner's fish to get beat from last year. He caught a 15 something last year. That would be, I mean, I don't remember the last time we had a 15 pounder caught in a tournament out here.
Mm-mm.
We did have a 15 pounder 4 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago. The water got high and muddy, and a guy caught it in 4 foot of water flipping a jig. I remember that. But in a tournament, no less, like it just hadn't happened in a long time. So no, I don't. Odds are it's not going to get beat. Could it get beat? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, any day. Yeah.
Look what's going on around the state right now, guys. I mean, it could happen.
Yeah.
But when that happens, so moon cycle hits Friday. Saturday, fish are going to be sprinting to the bank, running to beds come next week from tomorrow. Sunday, they're going to continue to do the same thing. By Monday, they'll be set up and locked in and paired up. Tuesday, it's going to be great. Wednesday, it'll still be good. And then it'll start kind of fading after that. Those males will still be around the beds and some of the females. And from that point going forward, there'll be enough bedfish on Lake Fork to sight fish for a month straight every day if you want to. Like, you'll be able to go out and catch some quality fish on beds for over a month in a row after that. But those big days, those 35, 40-pound bag days of bed fishing, those are going to always happen around those moon cycles, in my experience. I've had one bag over 40 pounds out here sight fishing in a day, and it was 3 days after a full moon at the end of March. I mean, it's always the same. Everything. Y'all can take that to the bank with you from now on. You want to take a vacation day to come fish Lake Fork for 1 day? 3 days after the full moon if it's after March 20th. Come on. If you like sight fishing, that's going to be the day every year.
Hell, your 11-pounder 1 year anniversary is coming up pretty soon. When's Cody's birthday?
31st.
31st.
It was right there at the end of March.
Oh, it was on his birthday because remember we were telling him.
And we were close to that 3 days after full moon on that deal, too.
We was. So we told him to let us know how much his kid weighed. We were going to catch one bigger.
And by God, we did.
So I want to share something with y'all that, may help y'all. And I stumbled across this last year because, with clients, it's hard to be versatile, try to find what works the best with a client. So when it comes to bed fishing, with a Texas rig, even with an 1/8 ounce weight, it's very hard for them to get that pitch and approach to where it's soft or fast or accurate. Okay?
You got to be accurate to be good at sight fish, especially on this lake where they're pressured.
Yep. So last year I just had the bright idea I was going to try wacky worm in a bed. And so I tried it one day, and second pitch in, caught the fish. And I was like, all right, let's go to the next one. So I went to the next bed. Same thing, second pitch in, caught the fish. So it was faster to catch that bed fish than it was with a Texas rig bait with that wacky because it was lighter. In my opinion, there was no resistance, so they just sucked it right up, and I had her. All right. So with my clients, you can take that wacky worm, and if you're not good at pitching, you can just cast it regular. Just cast it regular over the bed and bring it into the bed. And last year, all my clients caught bedfish easily by doing that with a wacky worm because it's simple.
Yeah, I think you'll catch. I think if you're experienced and you're a good pitcher, good flipper, you'll catch them better with a Texas rig.
You will,
in my opinion.
You will,
and you'll catch them faster, and you'll catch the bigger ones better. Higher percentage of the real big ones.
Yep.
But if you're not accurate, and guys, when I say accurate, I'm talking about putting it in that cup from a pretty long pitch. From a pretty long pitch, putting it in this cup, 9 out of 10 casts. Because that is one thing about bed fishing, and we'll get more as we get into bed fishing time. I'll make some videos on in-depth instructionals about all the finer points of bed fishing. Because golly, it is not like everybody thinks. Well, but I've heard this over the years. Well, bed fishing is like cheating, man. Okay. I'll tell you what, come stand right next to me. We'll go bed for bed and see who wins because it ain't gonna be easy, dude. Like, especially on this lake, as pressure as these fish are, you have to do so many little things right way, boat positioning, boat distance, trolling motor noise, graph noise, where the bait lands, how to swim the bait up to the fish, the pace at which it comes, where the bait drops into the bed, how to shake it across the bed, the rhythm and speed at which you shake that bait, how much do you hop. I mean, there is a gazillion things that go into bed fishing. Yeah. But the main one is the speed of getting that bait out of that bed and back into the right spot. Mm-hmm. Out of that bed and back into the right spot. I experienced it with customers this week when we were bed fishing earlier. They would sit there and do it, and they would pitch past the bed where I told them to, but they kind of take their time getting the bait up to the bed, drop it in, and just kind of shake it slow. And those fish that we were listen, nobody else was bed fishing. Those fish hadn't seen a bait on that bed, so they weren't too hard to catch. And this guy was catching most of them. But every once in a while we'd get one that would act right, and I picked my rod up, and that fish would not even be paying attention to his bait by the time he'd done cooled that fish off, what I call it. I'd pick that bait up and start whipping it in and out of there, shaking it right, doing all the little things right, and that fish would go from looking the other direction, not really paying attention, to going. And when it started doing that, I'd go, okay, flip in there, now you got him. And he'd make 2 or 3 pitches and catch him, but I would fire that fish up by the accuracy and speed at which I was putting that bait in the bed, primarily. That's probably the most important thing, is how fast you get, like when you pull that bait out of the bed, how fast you get that bait back in the right spot to just keep it agitated. Because if you miss a cast or you backlash and pick it out, the longer time that fish gets to not have a threat in his bed, the more its temperature cools down. And the more time that it has one in there, it's just getting mad. Like if I do this once, Cody's not going to fight me. Because Cody likes me. We're buds. We're really good friends. If I do it 2 or 3 times and once every 5 minutes I keep doing that, he's not going to fight me. But if I sit here and go, like here in a minute, he's going to tell me stop. You know what I mean?
I'm retarded.
It's the same deal. It's the same deal with that fish. If you keep that bait, boom, 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 it's always in its face, it's going to eventually lash out and bite. Mm. Hey, and it can't talk to it, and it can't slap it. It's got to bite it. Ain't got no hands, Last time I checked.
No.
I swear to God, I've seen one hit my bait with its tail before on purpose, though.
Yeah. This weekend...
and I've seen them blow on it. You ever seen them blow on it? Like, they'll get mad at your bait, and instead of biting it, they'll go... and they'll just close their mouth and blow water on it and blow it out of the bed. I've seen them do that. Like, it's weird. The bed fishing. So that's what I'm so in love with bed fishing. A, because I only get to do it a limited time of the year. But B, because there's so many intricacies and behavior differences and interesting things that you can learn about fish behavior from watching them react to different presentations on the bed.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, we talking about bed fishing, dude. I'll keep going. This will be all night.
I'm excited.
All night thing here.
So we went to Athens Friday to go fishing. We got on a lot of bed fish. And we pulled up to this one, and it had a 9+ on it. And my uncle was excited. He'd never caught a bedfish. And I get set up, and he pitches in there. He catches the male. Well, she leaves, and she don't ever come back. Mm-hmm. And she's fresh. So this is early in the morning, so we figured, well, later this afternoon with a warm trend, maybe she'll get in and get locked in better. So we come back, and man, his heart was broke because there was a boat sitting right on top of the bed.
On the bed.
On the bed. But what I was bringing that up for is I just want
we gotta get a new diving lure that'll go underneath that boat. See?
Yeah, that's it. But I want to let whoever know on Lake Athens that had a tournament coming up that put those fish in the beaver dam. I caught all of them and put them back in the lake.
Do what?
So you know where the
whoa! We can't just go past what you said. Like you didn't just say what you just said.
Oh, I said it. I said they were perfect.
Start over. Tell this story because I got to hear this.
So Zach Watts was out there too.
Where's this beaver dam at? Because I think I probably will know it.
So you got the dam on Athens. You got the little pocket that goes back.
Yeah.
All right. So back there in the back, there's a beaver dam.
Yep. Got you. With you.
So it's been there a minute.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, dude. I haven't fished Athens all year.
Yeah. But it's been there a minute. And so we're working that pocket back. We catch fish right there at the beaver dam. And I looked at my uncle and I told him, I said, you know what? I'm just going to see. I pitch in there. And I'm telling you, as soon as it hits the water, whoosh, 5-pounder. I was like, no way. Get it. There's a fresh hole in the lip. I was like, Threw it back on this side of the lake. Chunked back in there. We caught 6 out of there. They were all 4 to 5 pounds. So whoever that was, I'm sorry. But
you know they can't keep those fish on Athens. It's a slot.
Athens is a slot lake. Yeah. Maybe somebody else didn't know that.
Maybe not.
but how'd they get up there?
Well, you know in those
They're
beaver
not
dams,
salmon,
you know in
they
those
can't-
beaver dams, they have tunnels underneath them. You know that, right?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
So
the
you
tunnel-
take me to school on
Those
that?
beavers come in from the bottom side of that dam.
But they had fresh holes in them.
Well, that's a little suspect.
Yeah.
That's a little suspect. They done been in too many fights with them beaver teeth. No, it is suspect. That's pretty interesting, though.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
I heard the story when we had that big kayak tournament out here not too long ago, a few weeks ago, a month ago, something like that. And one of those guys was before one of these deals was talking to me in the parking lot, and he couldn't use this in a tournament because you have to be able to access it by boat. But with the lake being low, back in one of these creeks, there was some water back in a deeper channel that was left over, and he could see it, but he couldn't get his kayak to it because there was dry land between him and where that water left. Well, he just, out of curiosity, pulled his kayak up out of the water and walked back there and started casting. Apparently, there was some quality fish that got stuck back there. And this is a pretty big area of water that's just isolated, cut off from the rest of the lake right now. So apparently, there's some pretty big fish that got stuck back there because he was telling me stories and showing me pictures
That's
of
interesting.
him standing on the bank in muddy boots,
He saved those fish's life.
just no, he put
He
them
left
back.
them back?
Yeah, they were fine. Listen, dude, they were blowed out, fat, pre-spawn. They seem to be doing okay.
So where's this at?
In the water.
In the water, yeah.
In the water. We're gonna all be racing to the back of creeks looking for water back there, beaching our boats, walking around.
That's funny. I was in that tournament and I was looking at some of those pictures of the guys that were winning, and I was looking at one kayak because we get to see all their pictures, and I was like, man, that's a lot of mud in his kayak. That is a lot of mud.
Yeah.
And I swear, I was like, man, that's just. I wonder where he's putting in at because he's got a lot of mud inside that kayak.
Yeah, maybe that guy, because he literally told me he said he didn't do it in practice, but during the tournament, but during practice, he was just curious and seeing all that water because it's a lot of water back there, and walked back there and he just caught the fire out of him from the bank. So I was like, dude,
I think I know where one is.
I appreciate you telling me that because ain't no rules on a guide trip that we can't hike on in there. You know what I mean? Ain't no rules against that. Hey, y'all want to catch him? Watch this, boys. I'll show you some real top secret guide stuff. Bring your waders tomorrow.
Hey, did you see that video last year during spawn season of this guy? It's on Lake Fork. He gets out of the boat and wades over there to a bed and catches that fish off the bed. It was like an 8-pounder.
By hand?
By hand. I will have to try to find it.
Was this a fish whisperer dude or something?
I don't know.
I've
It
seen
was
some
awesome.
YouTube videos of guys like wiggling their fingers in the water and then one comes up and bites their thumb and they grab them.
No, he jumps out of the boat, wades over there, and reaches down real slow and comes up with this fish.
If that's going to happen
Wow.
any place, it's going to happen here. Because I'm going to tell you what, these fish get so used to boats going on top of them, when they're really committed to their bed, like, you can put your boat on them where you can actually touch. Like, I've touched them with my fishing rod and they don't move. Like, they just get so locked in and, well, I don't care what this boat's doing because he's the 857th boat that's come over me today. And so that makes sense that if it's going to happen somewhere, it would happen here.
Yeah.
Those fish just get so used to people being on top of them. That's pretty crazy that I think you could just reach down there and grab
It
them.
was crazy.
Like, did he do it fast or he just slowly reached down there? And
Slowly
then just
reached in there.
Got it.
Yep.
Really? That makes sense. Man, I can see it happening. It's pretty weird, though.
I'm going to try it.
You gonna try
I'm
it?
going to try it.
Have
Okay.
someone video it.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear how many times you fail at that because most of them still run from you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We'll find out.
I guess when you drive over one with your boat accidentally and all of a sudden it doesn't move, that's the one you walk in there and try that on, right?
Guess so.
That's the deal. That's that pattern.
Yeah.
Got that figured out. You're welcome, folks. Does anybody got any questions tonight?
I do. So last weekend, what y'all's water temperature get to when you seen them on the beds?
Man, it got up over last weekend up to in certain areas now, not the lake, but
Yeah.
in certain areas you would find 63, 64. And
The,
then even on Monday we were still finding it, after the cold front had come in, we were still finding it at 60.
So the fish that were up there in the beds in that shallow, that got up on beds. If they got in there and spawned, what would a fish like that do with this colder temperature? Would they stay on their bed at that point, or would they back off?
No, so they would probably back off at this point because the reality is when it gets that cold, it's going to end that cycle. So those fish were spawning last weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Well, they've had enough days to complete their process. A lot of times when you see a fish sit on a bed for a couple weeks at a time, it's a male, and he's waiting on a female. Well, even if a male's sitting there still waiting on a female, he's not going to continue to sit there when the weather gets cold if there's no eggs on the bed. But those fish that dropped eggs Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, they've had enough time for those eggs to actually hatch, and now that male can pull off that bed. So he may hang around that area pretty close, but he's probably gonna usually once you get that water down, I've seen them stay locked onto a bed and committed to it as low as 53. I have seen that on cold water lakes where they will actually stay committed to that bed as low as 53-degree water. Once they've started spawning and it cools back down. Pretty rare. Usually once it gets back down to about 55, 56, they're done. They're checking out. Any other questions? Good question. I guess we covered it too well.
Did it without Ozio. My gosh.
You fastly becoming Ozio Jr. with all this drop shot and wacky worm crap you're doing.
I can't help it.
Man.
It works, man.
Oh no. That's on you. I mean, I know it works. Like we listen. Don't make me say it again. You can win a tournament. Is there little kids in here anywhere? You don't. I know you. I know you now. You're bad. You can win tournaments with the drop shot and light line and all. Like you can win tournaments doing that. You're still gonna look gay doing it, bro.
I will look gay doing it, but I still win tournaments with it.
Money's not everything, son. You know what I mean?
$20.
Money's not everything, bro. Like some things ain't worth it.
Hey, I've caught a lot of overs on wacky and drop shot.
Well, listen, we all got to draw our line somewhere. I just draw it at drop shot.
And look, I still set the hook like it's a jig fish. You can ask him. I will rock the boat. I don't care.
Still look gay, dude.
Still look gay with that upside down pole in your hand.
Oh, I don't throw an upside down pole.
At least you throw it on the bait cast. Good for you.
I don't even own a spin cast. That's why I was just telling Ozio. Our customers this weekend, they're going to throw a spin cast. He's like, so I guess they're going to be in your boat? I said, no, sir. Spin cast, that's you, buddy.
Yeah. I haven't had a spinning rod. Of course, I've been doing it long enough now. I've basically got mostly the same customers year after year at this point. Most of my guys, like, if you get my boat and you don't know how to bait caster, you're about to learn.
Yep, that's exactly how I'm doing it.
Hey, might as well get something out of this guy trip. You're going to learn how to throw bait caster today, bud.
I've probably taught over 30 people this
The
year.
reality is when you run the quality equipment we run, too, like, I'll be honest with you, with the rods that we have and the reels that I'm fortunate enough to have, like, my kids can throw it, and they don't have a clue. Like, you can teach anybody how to throw it if you set those, and especially if you set the brakes on them real tight in the beginning and let them make short casts.
Yeah, and then loosen it up as the day goes on.
I mean, with those reels, you can literally set them to where I can just go and never put my hand on the spool, and it's not going to backlash.
Yeah, and that's how I set it before I hand it to the customer. I'll cast it out, don't even put a hand on it. All right, that's good. Here you go.
Then you let them throw it for a while. And if you see that they can fish, you back it up a little bit for them. All right, now you can get out there further.
Yep.
What kind of reels are you running?
Loose. Yep, loose reels.
Same here.
And I've got everything from Hypermag down to the Tournament MB and several models in between. I love the Hypermag. The Tournament MB is really good because they discontinued that, so that doesn't do any good. But Tournament MB was a really good reel for like $150, I think, or $160. And it's one that literally you set it right, you can't backlash it. It's
They just
really
changed
good.
the color up.
And then they changed the name
They
too.
changed the color, and instead of MB, it's MP.
MP, right.
And it's red now instead of yellow.
Yeah, red instead of yellow, yeah. So it's Tournament MP is that model now. And then the one that's like my favorite all-around reel that they make is the Team Lose Light Speed Spool, the LIT light Speed Spool. That reel it has a deep spool, it can hold a lot of lines, so you can do things with it like big swim bait stuff if you want to. It's very light, it casts forever, like it's just extremely good.
When you're bed fishing, are you using a high-speed reel?
Oh yeah, have to. Think about it. They get up against that bank, where are they going to come when you set the hook? Right at you. 9 times out of 10.
Higher than a 7.5?
I do 7.5 usually. So my bed fishing rig is usually rigged up with a 7.5 to 1 Hypermag or 7.5 to 1 light speed spool, the one I just told you about. That's typically the bed fishing reel that I'm using. But yeah, 7.5 to 1 is the minimum. Like I'm not going below that. It's that or an 8 to 1. Yeah. It's you gotta have a high speed reel. Because they will run at you most of the time. Hard. They're fired up. When they run fast. Right now. You know, when they get on that bed, they're so aggressive. So,
You know what next favorite thing is other than bed fishing that I'm going to do tomorrow?
what's that?
Punching. I can't wait.
Oh, you going over there to old power plant, Cheater Lake. Yeah, it's cheated because it's heated, baby.
That's right.
Is that what your game plan over there is going to go flipping?
Yeah, we're going to go flipping, jerkbait.
Dude, I was just thinking about that yesterday. I'm like, cold as it's been, I know they're running that power plant. I bet you can go, and enough of those fish have come and gone on the spawn deal. It's like, dude, I bet you can go flip them out there in that deep grass. Punch.
Yep. They gonna be in there, especially with this cool front. That grass holds heat. So.
Dude, I got a little top secret spot I ain't telling nobody about that. It's got a lot of grass in it already this year, and it's gonna mat up this summer. If you got me booked this summer, we might not be going to Fort very much, dude, because they got some big fish in that lake. If they're biting that flipping bite, I will be there a lot of days.
I just want you to know you better go buy one of them bug detectors like the FBI has, because I've done put a GPS in your boat. So I know where you are all the time.
If I see,
Got to find my phone on me.
if I see pictures with the wrong background or I see his boat, I know where he lives. So we'll figure it out one way or the other. Yes, sir.
I had a question.
Yes, sir.
You was talking about throwing the spinner baits to the wood. Do you throw trailers on your spinner baits or no
Yeah.
trailers?
Absolutely. 100, especially right now when they got a little bit more just a lunge and reaction type bite to them. They're not just feeding. When you get these cold fronts this time of year, yeah, a trailer hook 100% of the time. I mean, you're gonna hang wood some with a spinner bait, but it's not bad. It's not as bad as you think. It'll kind of roll around that wood pretty good. Because that main hook's basically protected by that blade. And a lot of times on those bigger Colorado blade, even that trailer hook gets covered by that blade a little bit if it collapses. So it's very rare for that hook to get outside of that blade and catch. Like, it's pretty rare.
Big crowd.
Yeah, great crowd night. Thank you guys for coming out. If it's, like I said, we want to answer every question you got. So if y'all got anything, just holler it on out.
Cody, what's your drop shot setup?
So,
Tournament guy. See, he's wearing his jersey. See it? It's the only thing tournament guys will throw that drop shot.
Is,
all
it,
right,
is it the same thing Ozio's throwing?
no, I don't know. I don't know what Ozio's
It's
doing.
probably pretty close because David throws it on a bait caster as well.
So I am actually throwing it on a 7.9 medium crankbait rod.
7.9 medium crankbait rod.
Yes, sir.
Is it glass?
No, it's a 6 ounce ESP rod.
Just a moderate,
Just a moderate tip,
medium ag? What is it?
medium action. Yeah. So, it's
Hey, he's a weird one, dude. He does things different.
That's this man right here. I can smell
that-
I can smell the fish. I mean, feel the fish sniff it. I'm telling you right now.
Hey, that joker will catch him, though, doing all that weird stuff.
Yeah, but no, it's a 7.9 medium moderate tip. I mean, it's got a lot of base, so I mean, I can horse him in. It ain't gonna. So,
That's good. That's interesting. Very interesting. And I give y'all a hard time about throwing a drop shot, but in all reality, if you guys are listening out there, any of y'all in the crowd are hearing me say it, listen, don't be ashamed to throw that drop shot. I don't do it because of where I fish and how I fish. I'm on guide trips or I'm filming videos. I get the luxury of kind of trying to force my way on these fish a little bit. I don't have to go recover my tournament entry. When I used to fish more tournaments before I started guiding, I absolutely threw a drop shot. 100%. 100% throw a drop shot. I didn't throw it on 7.9, right? But I did throw it on a bait caster, and I threw mine on probably something similar to what you know David used, which was a 6.9 medium, like medium action rod, and threw it anywhere from 12 to 15 pound line typically.
So I tried that, and you guys can. Whenever I go to set the hook, whenever I'd set the hook, that thing would just do this right here, the whole rod, and I'm like,
You just reel into, you ain't got to set the hook real hard.
No.
Like, depending on what kind of drop shot hook you're using, that's the other thing too. Like, what kind of hook are you using?
That owner, no, it's not owner. It's a decoy. It's on a swivel and it's got the hook to where it's cheating. That way I ain't got to tie the knot to where it made the
Right,
hook.
I got you. But is it like a thin wire drop shot hook?
No, I'm
Heavier
using
gauge?
It's a 3/0 heavy.
Well, yeah, you got to set the hook.
Yeah, it's more what I drop shot is actually called power shot.
That's
That's
a-
this 17-pound test line.
Everything's bigger in Texas, including
Yeah.
Cody Mace's drop shot.
That's right. Yeah, and I always throw a 3/8.
Dude, he's flipping a drop shot, basically. He's pitching it. It's not the same.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll pitch it on the dock.
Never
to catch
mind.
fish.
You're not Ozio Jr. That's completely different than he does it. You told him 17-pound line, he'd throw up in his mouth a little bit.
Redneck drop shot.
Hey,
Yeah.
it works.
Old
It
Texas
does.
drop shot.
I've
It
done
works.
Yeah. No, if you're gonna throw it on lighter stuff, you can't be jerking on them like that. You gotta kind of reel into that hook set a little bit, which we've all seen the pros do that. You know.
So
What do you guys got coming up?
medium.
We're on Cypress tomorrow.
Cypress tomorrow. Oh, y'all ain't supposed to get any info, are you?
Oh, it's not for high school.
Oh, it's
High
not.
school's next week.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah. What? That was you that answered about Cyber Springs on live stream, wasn't it? Okay. All right. We already covered that then. Good.
So when topwater bite starts, I'm gonna make a video. One of my customers bought me a topwater bait, and I'm gonna fish with it all day long in video it.
Oh
No.
God, you're gonna be Todd Castleton.
It's
What?
a Joe Biden top water bait. That dude is going to get destroyed all day long.
It's a
Listen.
Biden frog, basically.
Yes.
Here's the deal: if you don't catch anything on it, roll up to the bridge and just smack that sucker off the pilings over and over again. You'll probably go viral.
Yeah. Either way, it's going to happen.
This is for you, Joe.
Like what the Aggie you say? Beat the hell out of TU. Beat the hell out of Brandon. Beat the hell out. We're gonna get you. We need to get you a BTHOB sticker.
There you go.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, I'm going to miss everybody. I won't be here for quite a few Fridays. It's probably been my last one for a while. Kiddos starting baseball. So that's
Baseballing.
important to me. I'm coaching, so I probably won't be on these, but you'll still see me on
Good for
some
you.
of his stuff. So
Good for you. And he'll be guiding nonstop.
yeah.
So, how we doing on dates? You got some openings? Because I know you're scheduled. Like you just had a schedule adjustment with your other job that opened up some more guiding days. How are we doing there?
So I went part time. So I'm guiding Friday, Saturday, Sundays, and Mondays, but I am booked through June already. So I added 2 more days a week, and I booked those within 3 days. So
Told y'all he's good. Hey, over everybody, like y'all know, y'all seen different guys come and go sitting up here from time to time, and some guys show up and then come back later. And, you know, I work with a bunch of different guys, and with all of those guys, you know, we try to make sure they get their books filled as much as we can and all that. Out of all those guys, especially the new ones that have started, I've never seen anybody get the customer attention and fill his boat up as fast as this guy does. I mean, from day one, he's just, whatever it is, golden horseshoe up his butt or something. I don't know. But the dude catches them, and he's great with people. And he's if you're looking for a guide, I'd recommend this one right here.
appreciate it. Yeah, no, I'm pretty
I should have
stoked
made
about
you
it.
leave before I said all
Yeah,
that.
because now I'm not even going to fit down them
I know.
staircase.
Well, I ain't inviting you over to my house for a while. I know they ain't gonna listen to that crap.
But I appreciate you.
No, it's okay. It's a good time to be here. Even though we got a little cold weather to deal with, it's gonna be tough a little bit this week. Getting them right areas we talked about in the beginning. Grind those baits like we talked about. You'll still get those quality bites. It's March. You can catch a giant in any cast anywhere on this lake right now. That is a real thing. And then we've got one more week before all hell breaks loose. I mean, it's gonna be Katie bar the door on every pond in this area by next weekend.
We may be all trolling motor into the spots, but hey, we're going to do it.
Good thing is there'll be fish up. There'll be so many fish up in so many areas of the lake. You ain't gonna have to go very far with the gas motor.
That's right.
Yeah. Good thing I got them lithium batteries. So.
That's right.
You cover more ground than everybody, Gary Payne. That's right. All right, any more questions? One last call. We good? Hey, go downstairs, shop, get you some baits there. By the way, for bed fishing, if you want to get ready, stroker crawl is called every bed fish I've caught the last 2 years and so far this year. Great bed fishing bait downstairs. Lots of 6-inch fishing baits, lots of smash bait baits, lots of all kinds of baits. They go downstairs and please shop here at Lake Fork Marina. I mean, look what they do for us. They open their facilities to us and let us do this for free, and we couldn't do it without them. So please support them because they support all of us. So most importantly, thank all of you guys for coming in person, and thank all of y'all for watching behind the camera. Pretty awesome what we get to do. You know, the life we get to live and the dreams that we pursued and have kind of come true to a big degree. We wouldn't be booking all these guys. Or Cody wouldn't be full till June if it wasn't for the exposure that all of you have helped create, because that's what happens. The more you guys watch and come to these deals and all that, man, the more new people get to find us. So just from the bottom of our hearts, thank y'all very much. You know, if there's everything we can do for y'all, we always want to help y'all as much as we can. So we appreciate it, and we'll be back here in 2 weeks, man. Thank y'all.